somebody asked me the other day, how's the wood chip garden doing this year? All the berries and all that area where we've got our fruit trees and that kind of stuff. And I thought, hey, it's June 21st. I might as well show you guys how the wood chip garden's doing. So we ran into a little bit of a problem this year. And yes, the garden is absolutely beautiful. But if you can see all these piles throughout the garden, they are piles of weeds that my wife and I, mostly my wife, has pulled up. Let me show you what is going on. So this is something that we completely did not anticipate at all, and you never see this in any videos of anybody preaching about back to Eden gardens. But look at the massive amounts of weeds we've got. I mean, huge weeds, and we can't pull them fast enough. Now, as we pull them, there's a pile there that I pulled up. As we pull them, they're not coming back that much because it's getting hotter in the summer, and you know, it's getting tougher for weed seeds to germinate, and it's not a big deal. But in the early spring, all these weed seeds started germinating, and I was so busy I didn't get out here. If I would have got out here with a rake or something and just spent a few days just raking them all out, it would have been fine, but I didn't get to it. And look at this. Now, I know this looks like an absolute mess, but we've slowly been getting it pulled up, and we got just about all of it done. As you can see, it's actually looking so much better now. I mean, you could hardly walk through here, but it just goes to show you how fertile this you know, these wood chips are, and how fertile this soil is. It's absolutely amazing. And I've dug down to plant things, and it is just breaking down and looking more and more beautiful all the time. The soil, there's tons of worms and bugs and all that in there. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys this because if you're thinking about doing wood chips, you need to be aware of what could crop up. I mean, it is fertile soil, and you're still going to run into weed problems, and you got to take care of them early. A stitch in time saves 9, right? Well, I didn't get to this in time, and I didn't save myself anything. It just turned into a nightmare, but we're going to be on top of it from now on. Let's go take a look at everything. All right, so first of all, I want to show you this soil. So the wood chips are breaking down more, and last year I couldn't do this that well, but when I dug down, there were a lot of chips intertwined. They were bigger, and I couldn't hardly dig very well by hand, but they've done so much breaking down, so much more than I imagined they would in such a short amount of time. I mean, just through last fall and spring with the rains, look at how moist this stays. Now this is all dry up here on the surface, but just beneath the surface it just stays moist. Even without rain, we go weeks. We had one of the driest Mays this in years. I don't even know how long, and we broke records. And look at this, look at how moist this soil is. These wood chips are breaking down and creating some beautiful, fantastic soil, and I'm really impressed with how this is going. So over time, the wood chips are going to be fantastic for gardening plants, and we're finding that out. I mean, look at these potatoes. I'm not fertilizing anything. I haven't fertilized anything in here. It's just wood chips, and they're looking fantastic. It's completely amazing. Look how deep green and beautiful they are, and they just came up all on their own. So here's all the strawberries, and we planted those last year. They were just tiny little shoots. I mean, there were hardly anything, and I didn't know if a lot of them were even going to make it, but they're just full of lush green growth now, and I'm really actually pretty amazed at how quick these guys have grown. They're just putting on tons of new growth all the time, and you can see the flowers here. We're getting tons of little strawberries constantly, and this is an ever-bearing variety, so they're just going to keep bearing all summer long. They just keep coming on. Only problem we've run into with these guys, now that one's not affected, but only problem we've run into with these guys is rabbits. So we're still working on how to fence off our garden a little bit better from rabbits. We've got the deer problem under control, but rabbits are still a problem, and occasionally we'll come through here and find a strawberry that's got a bite taken out of it. But yeah, tons of strawberries, man. Now the variety here is TriStar, and they're growing beautifully, and actually the flavor is absolutely wonderful, and I love the fact that they produce all season long. But the strawberries aren't quite as big, we've noticed, and we like big strawberries, so we're kind of keeping an eye on. Oh, there's one a rabbit got too. See that? And it's not all of them, but some of them. They end up getting into some of them. But yeah, these things are just beautiful. But yeah, we're kind of debating on whether we want to keep this patch here and start another patch somewhere else of a different variety. But as summer's going on, I'm noticing they're getting bigger. And I think that's all there is to it, really. I think these plants just are still trying to mature and get a good root system to produce really big strawberries, because they're supposed to be a good bearing, you know, larger strawberry that produces all summer long. So I guess time will tell with these guys, but this is my wife's pride and joy, the strawberry garden. Now this is the part that I'm really excited about, the blueberries. I love blueberries, and I wanted a blueberry garden here, and I've got it. So we've got 16 plants, as I've showed you in the past, and all different varieties, all these 16 different varieties here, and I've got them all labeled so I know what's what. And it's really neat because they all kind of produce at different times, some of them, you know, close to the same time. But you can see here we've got just tons of blueberries coming on here, not quite ready yet, and then we've got a variety over here and they're just starting to ripen. So it's kind of fun having them, you know, over a longer stretch of time, being able to come out here and pick blueberries. And look at the crop here. I am not, look at that, new shoots coming up from around the blueberry plant, a foot out from the actual trunk there. But look at the crop there, man. Tons of blueberries. And like I said, we are not fertilizing or putting anything at all in the soil or around the plants. There's no fertilizer, no, you know, nothing. We're not putting anything around here. We started with that manure and then the wood chips, and that's it. And these guys, look at this bunch. Look at this, just this huge bunch of blueberries. Just absolutely gorgeous, man. I love it. I'm excited to get these guys to start ripening and trying them out here. Look at that. These guys are going to be huge. I can't wait for these things to just grow. Look at this. All this is new growth here, guys. All of that, just new growth. That's over a foot tall, and it's all over the plant. I mean, you know, if you're wondering about starting a back-to-Eden garden or a wood chip garden, I definitely recommend it for an orchard area, for berries and trees and that kind of stuff. Now, we're still trying to figure out the gardening ways of doing this, but for vegetables, but for berries and trees, I mean, it's an outstanding way to go. You just can't beat it. I mean, look at the production there. Look at that. And these things are young. These plants are only, shoot, a couple years old. Well, a couple of years since we planted them. Maybe they're 4 years old from the time they were propagated. Some of these guys over here are a couple of years older than that, but we just planted all these 2 years ago, I believe. Pretty cool though. Here's a variety Duke. They're supposed to get big blueberries over time. Just love these blueberries, and they're doing fantastic. Now, you guys have seen this in the background here. This is the thing that I'm most worried about. completely out of control. And these are all of our raspberries. They're thornless raspberries, and my wife's mom has a huge garden of these. She's got 4 rows of them, and you get enormous quantities of raspberries out of them. They're just heavy producers, and they're very good. My wife cans with them every year, but I only planted a single row. I think last year I did a lot of these, and then the year before I planted some of them. But this is the first year they're really taking off and coming up nice, and it's just, I'm a little scared. It's amazing, but look how far out. There's the line there. There's the T-post and the line, and all the way out here we've got these guys coming up. So I've been pulling them up, and I actually need to get these beat back. I want to have about maybe a 3 foot wide swath of them growing all the way down over time, but it's a lot of upkeep trying to keep these guys maintained within their area because they're spreading like crazy. Now they do the same thing over at my mother-in-law's house, but she has black plastic down so they can't come up through there, but they still have to maintain them all year long. But isn't that just amazing? I mean, next year is going to be the big year for us with these raspberries. They haven't really paid off yet, but this, you know, this is the start of it. Look, I mean, just look at all these shoots. This is last year's growth. There were only a couple spindly shoots, and they've got the raspberries on them because these guys produce on the second year growth. But all this stuff right here, just shooting up straight and tall. We're gonna get so many raspberries next year, it's gonna be pathetic, but I love these things. Now here's my real pride and joy. I love these espaliered fruit trees. This has turned out to be a lot of fun, just espaliering these guys. So we've got our 3 apple trees, and then we've got our 3 pear, and I just planted them last year, so they're still putting on a lot of size and growth. They're still got a lot of vegetative growth going on. The apple trees haven't produced anything yet, but I'll show you in a sec here. The pear trees have actually produced some pears this year, and we'll see how they taste. It's only their 2nd year in the ground, so they're still trying to get a good root system, but these things are growing like crazy. This is all, I came through here last winter and I pruned these guys back, and all this is new growth. All of that. I mean, so I'm gonna have to be coming out here pruning these guys regular through the winter time. Now I'm gonna come out here soon and pull these branches down. I want them to go all the way to the T-post there, but it's kind of fun training these guys and seeing how they grow. The ultimate goal is to kind of let them grow out a little bit and have about a 2-foot thing, maybe a foot out from the center line on each side, and then just kind of round out the top here and let them grow to a height eventually where you can stand and just pick them, and you know, you don't have to sit there worrying about climbing trees or getting in way over your head. So I'm always going to keep these things pruned right at this height. But let's walk down and take a look at the pears, because they're actually doing something this year, amazingly enough. I didn't think we were going to get any production for a few years, but here's our dwarf Bartlett pear, and let's see, there's a little guy right there. It's amazing, this guy's already producing. So neat little pear, look at that. Little baby pear just growing on the tree. That's pretty cool. We've got a few throughout there, I believe, of the Bartletts. Not many though. That one didn't produce as much this year. And this guy is stout. The branches on this, they grow really strong and heavy and stout. So I'm actually going to have to tie this new growth back soon, or it's going to be tough to do in the wintertime when it's all hardened off. But here's another variety here, and this is the Comus. I got Bartlett, Comus, and Moonglow just because of their pollinating effects with each other. They're supposed to be good pollinators at the right times for each other. I'm also getting a lot of the rootstock growing up here, as you can see, and I haven't pruned that off yet, and the reason is I want to do some stooling there, and I'll probably make a video of that. I want to do some stooling of the rootstock so that I've got rootstock for pears. I don't even have to go out and buy it. I'll just be able to get the rootstock and then take scions off of these guys in the future and grow my own pears. But there's another one there, so I'll do some stooling with that probably and get some rootstock off of it, and then I'll have dwarf rootstock that grows real nice and be able to graft my own pears. So you can see this guy's got, here's one right here. That's a nice pear. It's kind of neat watching these guys grow, but right here we got a lot of these guys. This is that Moonglow, and it's kind of a beautiful looking pear. It was real pretty when it first started coming out. It was a darker color and it's kind of turning red there, but we've got some nice pears there. This one was the heaviest producer so far, but there's a few. There's another little pear here. We've got a few along the branches and throughout this guy, little pears all over the place. Anyway, these guys didn't amount to anything, it looks like, but yeah, pretty cool, man. You can see we cut down that tree behind the pear tree there. That thing was sucking the life out of this garden. It was a huge fir tree, but it had to go, unfortunately. But this garden's gonna thank us in the long run for doing that. So there you have it, guys. There's the Back to Eden garden, or the Back to Eden orchard anyway so far. So just wanted to show you that update, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn something from it. If you guys like the video, please like it. Hit the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.